My name is John Richards. Today on this nursery there are more than 2,000 saleable product lines. Would you like me to show you those select ones which would be ideal for putting on retail display next week? There are more than 400 of them. Those I will show you will be presented in the order in which they appear on the sheet which you have beside you. Malus top worked in 3 varieties of the weeping forms, 3 varieties of the rounded forms, conventional malus, some of them with fruits on. Now in the hollies we've got no less than 18 sorts, 6 males, 6 females and 2 self-fertile, all having their gender indicated by the label. Flowering quince, and don't forget the very choice one there called Morlusii, quite sought after. Parthenocissus, perfect for this time of year. Jasmine Fiona Sunrise, still in very good leaf colour. Inverleith, a couple of others besides. Honeysuckle, doesn't want to give up, Belgica. Wisteria, which we prefer to do in a 5-litre pot on a 6-foot cane, but if you want them in a 3-litre short cane, we have them in the important varieties. Armandii apple blossom, and the winter flowering ones perfect for your cupboard area. If you really want them and you've got the footfall, we've still got clematis hybrids in flower. Twisted nuts, the purple leaf and the green, and of course the 3 varieties of choice here. The dwarf Japanese willow, Hakura nishiki, we do lots as a tree, we also have them as a bush. Not often seen as a small plant, but there's the Cercidophyllum japonicum. Nice little range of Japanese aces in 3-litre. Not to be overlooked is the relatively new variety of red fox Cercidophyllum. Toniasters, evergreens, Experiensis and Cornubia, Sorbus, various varieties, and in particular look out for the Gibbsii, which is one of the intermediate forms, very fine fastigiate habit. The cut-leaf alder, which will grow anywhere. Larix, stiff weeping, and Jacobson's pyramid, lovely graceful plants. Among the evergreen shrubs, don't overlook the little viburnum utile, small leaves, evergreen. There's a huge group of them at Westerburg Arboretum. Mahonias japonica, the very old-fashioned one, but still unrivaled. Now we've dropped charity in favour of winter sun. That follows the award of merit being transferred. Sambucus black lace is still good, and quite an unusual, almost unique plant, one of the rhamnus, Asplenifolia. Maybe you've got an appetite for Pittosporum. If not, we're glad to reserve them for the spring. 2 shrubs that think they're Pittosporum that aren't, Lophromertus red dragon and Ilex convex gold. Lovely little Atropurpureum nanum, or perhaps we should call it little robin. Larissa standishi, evergreen in most winters, winter flowering, fragrant. Kojo no Mai, whenever you need them. Great autumn tints coming on the golden foliage of the Miradco colquitzia, then berberis, deciduous and evergreen. A few varieties of Prinetia, snow white, and of course mascula. Doesn't break any new boundaries, but not a bad specimen of good old horizontalis. Now we're moving into grafted conifers, of which we've a very choice range. These are all in the 3-litre sizes. Then moving into 2-litre conifers, you'll see we like to have a generous meal on a sensible sized plate. So they're a very generous sized plant in a pot that's really quite adequate. Look out for the alternatives to Elwood's Gold, varieties such as Nicole and Cream Glow. All shapes and sizes are represented here. And if you want to change from Rheingold, think about Golden Tuffet. Now, for quite a long time we've had the little Thuya Teddy. We've now got Annick, which is the golden form of it. 1 litre conifers, here they are, in trays of 8. Among the tree heath, this is really a harbinger of spring. Keep us in mind for it, and that's the winter fire. It is a tender plant, so look out for that for the spring. Exeter is hardy, gold tips, and some of the Australis types, they're fine, Lusitanica, Sheffield Park. But at this time of year, you're better off with the golden foliage ones. There's Estrella Gold, which also flowers in spring. Amerland is very good because it flowers through the winter. And now we come on to Albert's Gold, our flagship. And what do you think of that? The invitation to touch me. Conifers in 7.5 litre. Grafted Edith, Sekasugan, lovely little grafted pines here, and, not to be overlooked, seed raised but very, very healthy Taxus baccata. Again, various shapes and sizes, and if you really want something that's going to last a long time, there's the Wellingtonian. Obviously the most important of all the conifers nowadays is Daisy's White, and there they are, and we have a fine drift of excellent plants. Jumping straight from conifers onto broadleaf, and very choice broadleaf to that, Daphne Eternal Fragrance, still flowering, not named that for nothing. And the pink form, which is actually turning out to be more vigorous, but just as fragrant. Specimen conifers in 7.5 litre, varieties chosen for this particular specification. Snow White. Some of the grafted ones now we're coming into, and very choice and very fine plants they are too. Holgers at the end, grand plant in the springtime. Here we come to the classic front garden tree on a 1 metre stem, sometimes if it's weeping on a 1.4 metre stem. Either way, good for a small garden, won't shut out the light in the winter time. It's big enough to be called a tree, but will fit in some of the smallest gardens. Japanese acers, this is one of the range of western birch seedlings. Every plant will be the same, no two plants will be the same, all raised from seed from the world famous Arboretum. Another excellent front garden plant could have been designed for the purpose, Cotoneaster hybridus pentadus. Evergreen, flowers in spring for the insects, fruit now for humanity and later for the birds. Weeping Cedrus, grafted, methodically trained up. This one's from seed, one of the finest of them all, the wild Himalayan cedar. Now, as we said earlier, wisteria we really love to do in a 5 litre pot on a 6-foot cane, and that's the product. Magnolias, field grown, grafted in a pot, some of them from cuttings, grafted, planted out for 2 seasons, lifted, and they've been in these pots since the spring. Salix Sakura Nishiki, double heads, nicely clipped, 5 litre pot, generous shelf life. Same applies to these Kilmarnocks on a slightly higher stem than we've done in the past. I think that's 80 centimetres, still in a 5 litre pot. No skimping here. Double grafted, tall ones, these are the ones we really like to sell. They're perfect for gardens. Again, quite worthy to be included in the front garden tree. 10 litre pots, generous heads. Well, hardly a front garden tree, but an excellent tree nonetheless. Eucalyptus gunnii, Betula Snow Queen, the very, very fine Fagus Dowick Gold, and the wild native beech. Here's a surprise. Here's the tree ivy. Well, well. Very soon they'll be developing the adult stage where they will actually flower, put it on a strong stake. It's an evergreen and great for wildlife. Time of year when there isn't much. Insects in the autumn and birds in the winter. Populus candicans aurora, a couple of very fine Pyrus Kochiana, which makes the habit of a peripair. Very fine foliage effect, and the weeping one, which can be clipped very effectively. All sorts of flowering cherries, including the flowering plum. Robinia frisia, well, you see, if you have these now, they'll simply be two sets of bamboo canes, one of bamboo and the other of robinia. So let the leaves fall with us. Let us keep them until they make branches for the spring, early summer. Don't overlook the flowering ones. Here's Hispida. We also do Hillieri, which have a very fine small tree habit and pale pink flowers. A few fruit items, all of them self-fertile on semi-dwarfing stalks. Arbutus is a tree, and a few more very fine front garden trees. Okay, so this section now are those which we're offering under special terms. Do speak to us about it. Prunus Kojo, which are about to catch fire through their autumn colour and will sit safely through the winter. Everything in this section is such that can stand out of doors. Here is a black flowered willow, Melanostachys, has fine black catkins in the spring. Erythra flexuosa, which is well known. A little range of spindles, including Mist Pinky and Kai Boy. Very large specimen of Hamamelis, that one there in a 15 litres, one called Swallow Haze. The bush form of the Amalantia Lamarckii, and then a selection of grafted viburnum. These are also grafted in a pot, planted out in the field for 2 years, and then lifted and are in these pots for a whole year. Same thing is done with the syringas, of which we've got a selection. All of these that are on their own roots, so no alien suckers will ever appear. Twisted nuts once again, and a range of taxus also grown in the field and have been a season in this pot. Big conifers, or rather we should say conifers which have the potential to be large, we do in a 10 litre, and here they are. Excellent for setting off or acting as living labels for the smaller plants you've just seen. So Norway maples in their garden forms, the North American red maple, of which October Glory is still one of the best. A few Amalantia and some specimens of the Erythra flexuosa. And here's a fine willow, really grown for its foliage effect. Beautiful weeping plant where the leaves twist and show their reverse. We call that waterfall, Salix integra waterfall. And if you've got clients with large gardens, the yellow amberbarked Mayakii prunus, winter cherry, and of course the ginkgo, beloved of the health enthusiasts, which we all are really in one way or another. Varieties of thorn, Crataegus, 2 varieties of oak, the native oak, Quercus robur, and Ceres, the Turkey oak. Not content with 2 sizes of wisteria, we go for a third, and these are in a 10 litre pot, and have the potential, and indeed are designed to become trees, weeping trees. So envisage that with a 6-foot cane and these branches trained out like that, and the racing from there. Something we do a lot of, Prunus shields weeping, or Picu shadera zacura, with trained heads. Here's the Robinia Hillii, for which I was pleading a moment ago. There's an excellent plant in the Hillier arboretum, size of a plum tree with soft pink flowers, and a range of birches, and then to finish the exocord of the tree form Snow White. We've added something which we'll put at the foot of the list, and that's our well-known Albert's Gold, and we've dropped it into a 3 litre terra plastic pot.